Howie and Beastmode podcast, where we discuss all things business, including growth, strategy, and execution, as well as personal and professional development. Let's join Howie and Beastmode in conversation.
Let me give you that update during the topics. You want to open in prayer? Beastmode?
Sure.
Okay.
Father God, I thank you for today. I'm grateful for this group, God, and the opportunity, Lord, to speak to each other, God, and take some time to listen to each other and just encourage each other in this wonderful season that we're in. God, I know that you're here, and we invite you in. We invite you into this conversation. We invite you into this group. We invite you into our circumstances. God, we just ask that your perfect will be done in our circumstances. And I just pray for fresh ears to hear, tender hearts to receive tonight. And let us just have boldness, Lord, to speak with passion and authority. In Jesus' name.
Well, we want to talk, so it's not going to just be us talking at you guys. We have a general topic, which is investing in you. And we're going to talk about career investment and friendship investment and spiritual investment. So everybody gets to talk for each one of those segments. We have a few thoughts that we'll share. I'll probably, just to finish my story, I probably will start off there. But that's kind of the general idea. Actually, Jordan, let me share my screen, just because with this group, I don't, oh yeah, you already have it. Okay. With this group, I don't mind doing that. Okay. Yeah, but I'll finish my story because it kind of goes into where I'm at. So I'm looking for a job. Sales leadership is what I've been doing most of my career, especially lately. I will tell you guys something that I didn't mention on the podcast as explicitly, but when I actually was sitting right here, and Jamie, my wife, was sitting right there when my boss called me on the video and told me that he was going to have to let me go, myself, and then 3 sales headcount were cut at the same time. So 4 headcount were eliminated total, which took them back about 5 years as far as company size, because it's a small company. There's only about 25 people that were in the US and 75 around the world. And so they put me on the street and gave me a month of severance, and are going to pay me for that deal that I closed on the last day. Whenever, it'll be a few more weeks before I get paid for that. But that's about it. So we're navigating unemployment, tricky situations right now that are just, it's not normally tricky, just ours was weird. It'll work out though. And then I'm just trying to be diligent. Some days I'm more diligent than others though on the job search. But the thing that I'll tell you guys is that as I was sitting here losing my job, I hung up the Microsoft Teams, the phone basically, from my boss, and I looked up at the ceiling and I said, "You couldn't have told me?" Because I was really mad. I was really mad at the Lord. Like, why? How could you not have told me? This is a pretty epic thing that's about to happen to me. Why would you not warn me? And because the Bible says that God does nothing without telling his prophets. So it's like, why shouldn't I expect to have him tell me? I don't know, whatever. That's just my belief. Anyway, immediately he reminded me that the last Wednesday, so just a week before, he had been giving me a scripture. I didn't know it was a scripture though. It was basically, enlarge the place of your tent. It was Isaiah 54:2. He told me on I think it was a Wednesday, enlarge the place of your tent, because I was having some challenges at work, and it kept going around in my heart. Enlarge the place of your tent, enlarge the place of your tent. So by Saturday, it's bothering me so much, the Saturday before I lost my job, that I said, I wonder if it's a scripture. And so I looked it up, and sure enough, it was Isaiah 54:2. And then the next week I lost my job. So it's like God was telling me. And so when I yelled at him and looked up at the ceiling and yelled at him, he said, I did tell you, I gave you that scripture a week before it happened. And so I'm trying to take that scripture and I'm trying to use it to, it said, enlarge the place of your tent. And I'm trying to use that as a metaphor for how to search for a job, because he gave it to me as an answer before it happened. And so if you think about enlarging the place of your tent, right? Expanding your cords and strengthening your pegs, as it goes on to talk about all that. All those things are about enlarging. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bet on myself And that's kind of part of what we're talking about tonight, by the way. So I'm just the first guy that shares. You guys will get to share now. But I'm trying to basically bet on Brian and search for a little bit bigger jobs, a little bit more responsibility, and not be so meek and sweet and just pushed around by life. I'm trying to push back, and I'm trying to enlarge the place of my tent. Now, God can redirect that if I'm wrong and if I'm overcompensating with that. But that's how I'm interpreting what he said. And so, yeah, so I'm going for my last job. You know, I was a sales VP of a small company. And so now I'm kind of going for similar roles, either in a little bit bigger company or a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more latitude to drive the change that I want to change, that I want to drive. So, you know, God is faithful, and, you know, he's been stretching our finances so far in some pretty good ways. And I even had a gift out of the blue, which was shocking this weekend, which is not necessary because we're not in trouble, but I had a gift from a friend. So God is good, but me and Jordan wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, investing in your career, and kind of hearkening back to the job search podcast that we did last week. Because as you guys know, we do this meeting, but before we do this meeting, there's a podcast. And then on the off weeks where we're not having a gateway group, we still do a podcast. It's just we call it Howie and Beastmode. And it's always about business and career kind of stuff. So that's what we talked about last week was, you know, the job search. And this week, you know, as part of the Investing in You series, we want to talk a little bit about career investment. So, you know, I don't know if you guys can relate to that. I know that Dustin, you know, you're kind of in the same mode with, you know, stretching and thinking ahead and allowing more, you know, opportunity in your life. You want to go first?
Hear me?
Yep, now we can.
Okay, so funny story. So no, obviously Jordan knows about this. So I've actually progressed in my hiring process fairly quickly, and had probably one of my final interviews the other day. But something very interesting happened. I've been asking God for some clarity on this job because I was really excited. Everything looked great. But I said, Lord, you know, if this isn't something you want for me, please, like, you know, take this from me, let me know, you know, just redirect me. And something happened that I didn't expect, and they were actually wanting me to agree to move to a northern state in the next 3 months, 4 months, to just drop everything and then move. And that was not something that I was ready to hear. So that's something that I've been in discussions with my wife about, and looking at, you know, what the quality of life would be for us. And, you know, we've come to a decision where the quality of life, our children, where we're going to, you know, raise our children, was going to be the most important, and also our community. And so a lot of times I don't think people take that into consideration, especially if you're single or newly married. You don't really take that into consideration. Hey, is this area going to be good for my children? What do the school systems look like? What is the economics of the area? You know, is that area growing? And we really started to take these things in consideration. And we've just decided there's no better place to be than where we're at. And so that's kind of what I've been working with. And it kind of had to come to a point where I really needed a gut check to really decide what was the most important for my family. Not just me, but family. And that's my responsibility. That's my biggest responsibility. And I know I don't take that lightly at all.
Sounds like a very wise decision. So would they not consider this role for DFW then?
No, they already have 2 people that fly out of this area. I'm not really interested in pursuing traveling 4 to 5 times a week.
Yeah. Definitely agree
Not
with
something
that.
I'm interested in.
Yeah, no, yeah, the quality of life would be bad. And then moving, especially if you have a support structure here,
Yeah.
that's hard to lose that.
And yeah, and that's the other thing. You know, you build these relationships. You know, we've had this group for a long time, and you know, you're talking about um, you know, growing your tent, you know, building your pegs. I mean, it's all about, to me, is maximizing where you're at. You know, can you maximize where you're at? Can you maximize your relationships? Because a lot of times these opportunities will come up because you decided to take the initiative to stay put and be still instead of walking around and trying to find the answer somewhere else when all along the answer could be right where you're at.
Mm, it's good. It's good. Jordan, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, you know, I just had a thought, and I guess I'll just kind of run with it. You know, sometimes when we enlarge our tent, and this isn't directed at anybody, this is honestly just a thought, but you know, when we enlarge the tent, a lot of the times we want to enlarge our tent, like my personal tent. Got to enlarge my reach and enlarge my voice, my capacity, this, that, and the other. You know, but you know, lately, and this has been, when I say lately, I mean like the last 2 years, I'm enlarging God's tent over and his rule over my area. And so when I wanted to enlarge, when I hear enlarge your tent, it's allow me, God, to speak into more areas of your life. Give me more control. Give me more of the tent, you know? And that's just, I mean, I think I could spend the next hour just talking on that, but I'm not going to. So
Sounds like a good sermon to me.
yeah, we're not doing that today. So
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, it's funny how the Lord could quicken that, you know, to the individuals, which is so profound. What about you, Dennis? Are you considering, you know, betting on yourself, stretching? I know right now you're in a season where you're waiting, and you know, a little bit of a family time, which is wonderful. But how does that speak to you as far as, you know, kind of betting on yourself, career stretching, and any thoughts or advice or personal insights from you?
Oh, so sorry, I didn't see that I was muted. Yeah, so as far as personal insights, as I mentioned, this is just kind of a perfect time in life to take the approach is that, well, okay, I'm looking for a job and I'm doing the best I can. So if kind of there are some opportunities, I pursue them, I show them kind of my best picture and show them how I can improve. But if nothing comes up, I'm not really kind of upset or disappointed. I'm just taking it as a time to rest. So if I can get somewhere, great, right? So I'm going to do my best. I'm going to kind of present myself. I'm going to discuss. If nothing comes up, I'm not kind of in a mood like, oh, okay, why it didn't happen, when it will happen, when God give me this next opportunity. Well, maybe at some point of time I will come to this kind of impatient phase. Is like, well, okay, let's just start doing. But right now is, yeah, if things happen, great. I'm gonna do my best. If things don't happen, that's kind of a God's plan to get some rest.
You seem to come at peace easier than I do. You seem to walk around with a little bit more financial, less worry than I do. Because when I talk about stretching and not settling and betting on myself and being a little bit pickier about jobs, it's taking a lot of effort to do that. Because, you know, I have a financial budget that goes out like many months, like to March. Actually, I have it all month by month, so I know kind of the basic burn rate, right? I know what's happening. But even knowing that, you know, it's a lot of effort to trust God and try to bet on Brian a little bit. You seem to have an easier time with that.
Well, in our particular situation, you may consider it kind of a bad thing, but this is what contributes to the current good situation. Every single month, starting from September 2016, has been kind of really stressful and really filled with a lot of kind of busyness and tiredness and kind of being exhausted.
Okay.
So the last 4 years were just like really tough for a multitude of reasons, and this was not kind of self-inflicted. It was just different things happened. Like we had to move from East Texas to here. We had to prepare kids, change the jobs. There were a lot of kind of turmoil within the companies I worked for. So I guess part of it is not because I'm so well prepared. The part of it, I'm just like very tired. And I'm at the situation is like, well, if something comes up, great. If not, then this is just a time to rest, because I'm like really tired. I'm just really tired after 4 years, and I'm sure it's gonna pass in 2 to 3 months, and I'm gonna get kind of some fresh air and get ready to get going again. But it's not because I'm kind of perfectly spiritually healthy and I can kind of set myself in some more. It's in this particular mode. It's just like I'm tired.
Yeah.
If I get a chance to rest, I'll take it.
That's great.
And
Awesome.
Brian, if I may,
Yeah.
I keep resounding something. You mentioned I'm betting on Brian. I mean, you actually don't need to bet on Brian. It's God who actually does the whole thing.
Yeah.
And God tells us on Romans 8:28, and we know that all things God works for the good of those who love Him, and you love Him, you know, and you just do your part, and He will do His part. So I know in reality and things, it may not look that way, but that's what faith is all about, you know, is
That's right.
our trust in Him.
Amen.
That's right.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I had to come to, I was really, my phone was becoming an idol pretty fast in the last few days. I was checking LinkedIn every few minutes and checking my work. I have like a work email, separate email from the family just for career stuff and recruiting. And it was definitely getting obsessed with that. And, it was becoming an idol fast. And so I repented. I repented to my wife yesterday. I repented to the Lord because I wasn't doing that, Paul, like I should have been. I wasn't just trusting and letting God do that, So you're not wrong that I tend to be, that way. It's an area I need to keep working on. Right at this moment, I've got a pretty, again, because I surrendered yesterday, right? So at this moment, I'm pretty good. But I mean, probably within days, I'm going to have to just put that back on the cross, because it's kind of my nature to be, I feel like everything can be solved with hard work, it's like unlimited, like health doesn't matter, nothing matters, just I have to do it, and that's not right. I feel like you can be a hard worker. I think the Lord wants that too, because the Bible does say all hard work brings a profit. But then to your point, Romans 8:28 is a great example. Like all things work together for the good of those who love God and who are called according to His purpose. So it's not like this, time of life for Dennis and myself, who are in a similar situation. It's not like God was surprised by that.
Amen.
Yep.
So,
and then Brian, I'm not sure if kind of this advice will help you or not, but I was in the exact same situation kind of 3 months ago, in the sense that I was checking my LinkedIn kind of every hour and kind of a couple times an hour. And then what I decided to do is I decided to kind of commit for myself to the behavior when I will only check it twice a day, right? So let's say I'm going to check it at kind of in the morning. I'm going to do everything I need to do there. And then next time I'm going to check, let's say at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Right. And it really feels kind of stressful the first couple of days, but it's almost like fasting. That once you're fasting and not taking food, the first couple of days look absolutely terrible. But on day 3, you realize nothing bad happens. happens, like really nothing that happens.
Yeah.
That,
really good.
that there are like very few people who would be upset to not get a response from you like within the next couple of hours.
Right.
Everybody can wait half a day.
Yeah.
And at least in my particular case, when I was dealing with kind of with the same issue, like, oh, okay, let's just constantly check LinkedIn and what's going on, to self-commit myself to kind of fasting and only checking it twice a day, and then realizing that, well, it still works, was kind of a lifesaver.
Wow,
I'm not sure if it works with kind of your
it does. It does.
mentality or not, but for me, I had the exact same problem, and that was kind of the solution for sure.
Yeah. No, it's a great idea. I need to set some boundaries. For sure. Well, thanks. Who wants to share next? Kind of in this top section, career, investment, job search, stretching, work life, work health, any of those topics. What would you like to share? Whether maybe you're battling with something, or maybe you have had a breakthrough, or whatever speaks to you would be great.
Well, let's welcome Tade and welcome Terry.
Okay.
So.
Hey guys.
What's up, Tade?
Well, for me, I guess I've not really committed myself, like, or made a particular decision that I want to invest in myself in this area. Well, yeah, I've just been doing a lot of work and family relationship right now. So, I guess I could say I'm trying to invest in that, but nothing really like it's a commitment, so to say.
How's your fiance?
Yeah, she's fine. She's actually fine. Except the US-Canada border is currently closed right now, so there's no movement. Going to go check how she is. But generally, we're fine. Thanks for asking that.
Well, good. It's good to hear from you. It's good to get an update. That we're praying for you, and so it's glad to hear from you. Terry, can you hear us?
Mute. Yeah, Terry's muted.
I know. We're getting a little feedback from some, so I'm having to mute you guys in between.
Here he goes.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
There he is.
Okay, cool.
How are you, man?
Well, good. I was listening to you guys. It sounds like most of you guys seem like you're employed by somebody else. You're not self-employed. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm self-employed.
Okay. Well, what I found out regarding in the middle of this pandemic, actually this hit us in February, but is that it kind of pushes you in a couple directions. One, do you want to continue working with somebody or working for somebody that isn't going to last as long as you're going to last anyway? Or do you want to step out in faith, take your skills and package your skills and put it in the market? And in a crisis situation that's global, it's really, in a sense, God's saying, hey, listen, maybe I want you to stretch out a little bit. I want you to get your faith out there. I want you to take your skill set that I gave you and move it out into the market. And sure, it's tough. Sure, it's not comfortable. But if you're really walking with God, nothing's comfortable. He's always throwing something at you. I mean, daily. And if you're spiritually or faithfully not healthy, some of the things that you're going to face are going to push you back in the corner. They're going to make you physically unhealthy. So, I shared with a couple of you guys, that testimony that I gave you. That was the second time we got hit. The first time it was with my attorney that I had over there. literally kidnapped my general manager and took 25 grand and left him out in the jungle. And in a way, I didn't realize it, but that was a setup for the second hit when we were in Ghana, that we almost lost 2 couriers because of the fact that we were dealing with a government that, let's put it this way, in their own view, they were great. But once you got a taste of the food, it wasn't the plate you were going to order again, you know?
Mm.
So and you know, you're talking about, you know, investment. What's a better investment than you know, your family, you know, your skill set. And if you're out there swimming in the water and you know you got to go from one side to the other, you know, maybe starting out is pretty easy. Maybe in the middle it's going to get kind of rough. But by the time you get past the middle, you're going to be well on your way to get to the other side. And whatever you keep, because you're self-motivated and self-driven, nobody can take that away from you. So when you do get to part of your goal, you have an appreciation that you don't have working for somebody. And even though this is tough for everybody, I mean, nobody got out of this one. You know, I've been around for 7 decades plus, and I've never seen a global shutdown in anywhere near the severity that we're in now globally. I mean, one of my businesses I can't even deal with because I can't get an airplane over there unless I want to pay $160,000 to go 6,000 miles. You know, not that kind of money. So, but I think now in my family life here, my wife and I are getting along better than we ever got because we had to band together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying this is good for anybody. I mean, for everybody, but for some of us, you know, sometimes we have to find our health, the level of our health and the level of our faith by stepping out in the water, you know, getting out of our comfort zone and start pushing the envelope. And when you're out there and you don't have anybody to rely on with yourself. Sometimes that's the greatest motivation God could give you, because it's between you, God, and faith, you know, when you're in what you're doing. So I just wanted to throw that out there because you guys are young enough to whatever you start now and you push it through, you got 30, 40 years, you know, to make something really, really happen. And if you're going to step into something that you really like. You don't mind the stress. I mean, it's just part of the package. You know, my dad used to tell me, he said, I don't care what you do, just do what you like to do, and it won't be work. And, you know, I'm sure if he was around again, he'd be looking down, he would have said, yeah, I told you so, you know, but anyway, I thought I'd share that with you guys because I just wanted to let you know that there's 6.5 billion people out there struggling just like everybody else is.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, thank you. Are you guys okay in terms of? I mean, is some of your business still happening, or is it really?
Oh yeah,
down? Okay.
I mean, the funny thing about it is that even though we had those setbacks, and we've been trying to complete this one mission for about over a year now, what he's done is he's increased the value by almost 100% of what we have. So even though we're sitting on it, we couldn't get that kind of value in the market. It's almost better that we didn't do anything because of the value added that God gave us, which is a market control situation. We have nothing to do with it. We're just part of the system. But at the same time, all this struggle and stress has pushed us up into the upper side of the government. So now we've got a better team. We got better attentiveness. We've got a better authority with people that when we started out a year and a half ago, we're like a fly in an elephant. Okay, we weren't even noticed. So you know, we've got a package now we're working on for rice to ship over there. Everybody's kind of boo-hooed the market over there because they're a number 172 on a scale of 190. So it just literally, God keeps opening these doors. Like sometimes you open them too fast. You know, you kind of run up to catch it. But yeah, fortunately for us, unfortunately for a lot of people, he's raising us up a little bit in the ladder. And so we have authority now, and we have partners now that we never had before. And we're at a level now that really whatever happens in the country, we're part of that piece. And there's no way we could have done that on our own. I mean, just no way. I mean, that was a true blessing right there. But so, everything is still challenging. Everybody's running on fumes. But the point about it is that you can see where God's hand is. That's really critical for me. And when you're in a business nobody wants to be into, and you're out there, you're in the rowboat and you're in the middle of the storm, So there's a comfort level there now that is just part of what we do. We know every day is going to be a different day. We know we got to be ready for whatever comes up, and everybody's ready. So we just take it on like we were on a football field. The quarterback pitches the ball, and our goal is to get to the other side, and as short as time as we can. And everybody's, ready to do it. So it's the team has improved, and the morale of the team has improved. That's another thing too. Before we were kind of unequally yoked. Now, literally, we're equally yoked because everybody involved is Christian faith-based. So what I wanted to have was a faith-based business. And finally, now I've got faith-based partners, not other religions or, Muslim religions or anything like that. I really have a Christian faith-based organization. So, and that's another thing too, when you do something, try to be equally yoked, because God tells you, it's straight out. If you're not equally yoked, you're always be in a struggle, and so, I'm not saying that all the fruit on the tree is ours, but the tree's got some branches and the branches got some fruit. So,
That's good.
So,
and
thank God.
Remind me, because it's been a few weeks since I've talked to you. I know Jordan may have talked to you a little bit before that. Tell me the business, just the quick snapshot of the business.
Well, we have a metals mining side of the business, and we have a real estate investment business, and we wanted to convert some of the real estate into ag product. And now, just within the last week, we've got an offer to be able to import rice, because what's happened now in Liberia is that they're buying rice that's 5 years old and 2 years out of date. And they're getting a high price for it from India. And nobody wants to. The problem is it's not like the United States. Okay, listen, you can't ship that in because, it's expired. And so people are getting sick. Some of the people that we're involved with, they were getting sick because of mold issues and stuff like that.
Wow.
And, when you're in a country where if you make $400 a year, you're doing good.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything counts. And so God put us in our lap. And when I found out about what they were buying, because they were I asked them, I said, what's going on? Give me some input, And I told them, I said, look, up front, this is the issue we're going to have. Here in the United States, we're not used to being 172 of anything. We're either first or second. And so that's the approach we want to take over there. If you want to buy into that, then we're not going to deal with seconds or thirds or out-of-date stuff. We're going to deal with premium goods to get the people healthy, and also so let them know there's something else out there that they can rely on, and throw some food on the table and see what happens. And so that's kind of now what we've absorbed now into our projects. And they're all profit-based. They're all business platform-based. They're made to make money, because if they don't make money, then they can't support hiring more people. They can't support expanding. They just can't support the natural structure of expansion and market expansion.
Where are you getting the rice at? Do you just have supplies from the U.S., or where are you getting decent non-expired rice to sell over there?
Well, I made some, actually, what's interesting is the rice bread basket of the United States is Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, and California, a little bit of Mississippi. And so basically, we're almost literally in the center of the rice bread basket in the United States, which is kind of ironic. Why would God throw that in my lap? And then a week later or 2 days later, I find out I'm right in the middle of it and don't even know.
Wow.
So
you're just buying it from the normal wholesale kind of situations?
Well, that's what we're going through now. We told everybody up front, we got a hold of the marketing arm of rice in the United States, the co-op, USA Rice is called.
Mm-hmm.
And we told them what we wanted, and we told them we needed a partner. This is something we've never been in before. We need the best of what you got. We need help all the way through it. And we started saying, okay, and without having to invest in the co-op or the association that promotes rice, they shot out an email to all the 2,700 producers. I say, these guys need help. Now, you couldn't buy that, especially somebody that's never been in the market before. So we got grace and mercy and a bump from the organization. We told that, this is more humanitarian than it is making a profit.
Yeah, right.
So we got good feedback. And the point I'm trying to make is that if you don't step out, God can't step in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary. Let's get real. Yeah. You're in places where you're not there. You're in places where they don't speak your language. We're the only white guy in in a nation of 5 million people. There's something that doesn't happen every day. And you just got to be ready. And your shield, you got to put your armor on.
It's so beautiful that the Lord would, help you expand business and give you new ideas and new opportunities and open doors.
Yeah.
And that this is a great example of stretching, right? It's exactly what we're talking about, of putting yourself out there, betting on yourself, of course, betting on yourself because you're conscious of God, obviously.
Right.
But what's really beautiful, what really speaks to me too, and probably the guys about your story as well, is that you're making a physical difference for people because you're literally helping them get nutrition, I assume at competitive rates, that's not expired. And so you're literally helping health. And if you think about the Father and his interest in people, of course he's interested in getting better rice that's not going to make people sick. And so if he's got a trusted son in country already or nearby or whatever, who will stretch out, then he can give you some business and give them some health. And so I just think it's a neat story. It's such a great illustration of the stretch that we're talking about tonight. It's really perfect.
Yeah. Well, another thing, because since we're in the mining business, we got certain kinds of metal. And what he's kind of leading me to is using what we get out of the ground to leverage the food issues or any other things that we issue. So it's not like we're taking it to market and selling it and getting cash. We're getting it out of the ground so he can use it again to leverage something better and bigger. It's just,
cool.
That's just some of the realities of what happened. But
Makes me happy.
It's, yeah. Well, anyway, we'll just see what happens. But I just want to let you know that, you, if God believes in you, why don't you believe in you?
Oh, that's very nice of you to say that.
And
that's
so
for everybody. That's not just for me, guys.
That's
for all of us.
Well, not only that, it's everybody who's into distress now. You got to figure 35% of the businesses are going to fail in the United States because they just can't live through this COVID regiment that the government's trying to bail itself out of.
Yeah.
And we're in such a volatile year because of election year. One side wants to beat the other side up so they don't have a chance of getting all the votes in a very favorable environment. They want to make the environment as hard as they can. And so, it's and just like church, we haven't been in church in 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
I love, praise and worship.
Yeah,
that's why I went to church. And so I'm really concerned about how the church is doing because nobody's been in it.
I know.
And you don't hear about any of the corporate struggles. You don't hear about, with all the planning and the expansion that, Morris was, was going to put on the table. He put it on the table. What's going to happen with that? Where's that going? And the expansion and Justin, and all those types of things. So, the church is the church is, I think, in a much bigger way, in the same fight we individually are, you know, and if the church doesn't lean on God and lean on faith, that's not good either.
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be some success stories. There's got to be something that,
Yeah.
we're hearing about that. Hey, even though this is going on, this is going on. So you got the negative, you got the positive.
That's a good idea.
And so,
well, there's one of your positives right there for this group, and we're obviously a micro little mini, gateway group ourselves. So I mean, you've helped us give that story and talk to us about stepping out and being aware and being available and stretching. I'll tell you guys a story too. I told Jordan this earlier. I'm going to go as quick as I can here. But I had somebody that I applied for a job for VP of Business Development for somebody who does outsourced support basically. And I got somebody who viewed my LinkedIn profile that was a director, and I clicked on their profile on LinkedIn, and it wasn't just a director, it's a CEO. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I figured out, long story short, I'll really condense this, but long story short is I figured out what his email address was at work. And there's a little online tool you can use to check email address validity called email-checker.net. And you can just do combinations until it comes back with good. And I did it. So now I got his email address. Now I know he looked at me for this job, and I know I applied for this job, and I looked at him a little bit closer, and the job was really cool. Like I really resonated with that service, for consumers and for businesses mostly. I'm more of a B2B person. And so I basically spent, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 hours, maybe 4 hours. I don't know, basically reviewing his website. And I came up with like a little business plan, like a little bit of a snapshot of what I would like them to consider as a business and how I would divide their sales teams, what I would name their sales teams, what the scope was, how to think about their current products in this way, and their history of their data, packaging up and selling it and using it and marketing it and leveraging and cross-selling, all the stuff that, I've experienced for like the last 6 or 7 jobs in my whole career, but applying it to their vertical and just really getting into it. And I sent him this pretty long email, I would say. And I made a catchy subject line. And this goes to what you said about putting yourself out there and trying and, being willing to fail and risking, all that stuff you're talking about a minute ago. And I got a response from him yesterday morning at 9:30. Very, very short. Again, he's the CEO. Very short, but it was like, Brian, thanks so much for tracking me down, or thanks for the trace. He called it a trace because he felt like I traced him down. And thank you for my thoughts. Someone from HR is going to reach out to you. And thank you again for your insights. So he thought what I came up with apparently had value if he called it insights. And so, I think that's a great example too. Like God can move a parked car, but I think if we, just like you did on your various new ventures and adventures, it sounds like, swimming halfway across, you might drown, but you're already halfway across as well. So I took that one risk. It's a very small example, and it may not give me the job. I don't know. But again, I did put myself out there as you were mentioning. So, well, what about Paul? Paul, you kind of gave me some encouragement, but what's going on with you? Any part of this top part resonate with you?
Well, I've been I had similar experience twice in my career, and one thing that I've learned is that also God blesses diligence. Doing our part, and it looks like you're doing just that. So so I don't see like it's just gonna be a matter of time now.
Okay.
In my mind that that God is gonna provide, and always, what I've always seen in the 2 occasions that I have is like it always worked for good. It was kind of God had it predestined in a way. Like if it happened this way, and we may not see it in the moment, but once you look back, you say, wow, look where God took me from, and now where am I?
Praise
You know,
God.
and that's has been very um, relieving, and also uh, in a way, I mean, makes me very thankful to God to be, you know, uh, uh, that in he's in control of everything, even though we don't see it that way in the moment.
Good. Very inspiring. That I had a witness in my heart when you were talking. Thank you for that. Jordan, I know you talked a little bit about what's going on with business and stretching and life, and what's going on, man.
The biggest stretch right now is the nonprofit that I started in May, has quadrupled in output, and so it's I guess I'm being stretched for time. You know, God, you put this on my heart and you're quadrupling it, and that's wonderful. But it doesn't produce any income. And it requires a lot of my time and focus and operations and things like that. And so, but I'm being diligent. I mean, I'm pouring into it just as if it was something else. And I think that's very evident for the fact that it's quadrupled. And I know we talked about this, Brian, on the podcast, and I kind of mentioned it. You know, whenever I'm here and whenever we discuss the enlarged tent, you know, I'm just giving God more room. And I apologize, my video has been off. I've been doing some commentary looking up on this verse in Isaiah. You know, and the enlarge the place of your tent, and this is just what's speaking to me, is that it's because there's people coming. It's not for the individual. It's not for Isaiah. It's not for it's, you know, it's telling the children of Israel, hey, people are coming to you, and you need to enlarge your space so that you can make room for them. And so, I mean, that's just how it's speaking to me. And when I'm reading through the commentary,
That's a beautiful, especially with what you're doing. That's incredible. To be honest, that's incredible.
And so, I mean, I know we only read a portion of it, but let me just read the
hit it.
entire verse. So it says, enlarge the place of your tent and let them stretch forth the curtains of your habitations. The let them are the people coming.
Cool.
So give them room, stretch the curtains of your habitation, let them push the boundaries, spare not. So don't, I mean, I think that's self-explanatory. Lengthen your cords and lengthen your stakes. Again, the cords are what's holding the curtains up. And so, you know, you need to make taller curtains. I mean, it's going to really strengthen your stakes. I mean, you're going to be pushed to your limits. And so, and again, none of it is for Isaiah or for the children of Israel. And, you know, I hadn't finished the thought yet, but it relates it back to a couple other passages in Jeremiah 10:20, and then in where's the other one? Isaiah 33:20, where it talks about the tent and things like that. So it's definitely pretty cool. I'm enjoying just kind of the commentary as we're doing this, but definitely, I mean, work is going well. There's a lot of work, not a whole lot of extra revenue coming in, but you know, I'm just really enjoying, you know, letting God lead. And it's exhausting though, I'll tell you. And this is probably my first opportunity experiencing it, is that God is not slow. Even in this time, you know, it's hard to keep up, and it's impossible to keep up. Let's just say that. And so it's I'm just excited for whatever's coming, but I'm enjoying the ride each and every day. That morning time is just a flood of just listening and just receiving. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, and if you guys aren't on the biblical reading plan, feel free to hit Jordan up. It's a good one. This one's on leadership, and there's always one every few weeks. There's a new one, so feel free to take part in that. I've gotten into that more and more over time. I was kind of intermittent with it, and I've gotten to where that's just part of my daily now. It's just my rhythm every day. So I think that's fun. It's fun to because people comment on there afterward and stuff, which is neat as well. So feel free to hit him up if you're not on that. I'm liking it as well. Anybody else want to share something, or are we gonna move on to friendship investment and then spiritual investment?
Let's move on for time.
Yeah, we probably should. Well, I think we have a verse to share tonight on the friendship investment part, which is right over here. Proverbs 12:26. I guess I'll just read it just to make it quicker. The righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads them astray. And I think I'm going to let Jordan make a couple comments about friendship overall, and then we'll just go around the table. But about choosing friendships and investing in friendships and the right kind of friendships, and, that kind of topic. So, Jordan, you want to go first?
Sure. I know that there's a lot of just kind of evidence out there, whether how factual it is or not, but who we surround ourselves in is what we're going to be made up of. And so I just want to, number one, thank you guys for continually being a part of this group and pouring in, whether you're here live, or I know many of you guys check in, even if you're not going to be, and just continue to be a part of the devotionals that we do and things like that. And it's just, there's a value in that. And if there's a bad apple or anything like that in there, it does seep down to, to you as an individual. And that kind of goes into, there is a time where you do have to separate. And so there's an evaluation that we all have to do at certain points in times and say, this friendship or this individual is not beneficial. Maybe I'm stretching myself in a different capacity and I need new groups of individuals to stretch me in that way. And so there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. Again, I don't think we should ever do scorched earth for anything. I know Brian's got a personal story. I'm not sure if he's going to share that or if you guys just want to listen to the podcast to do that.
I'll do a quick version of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I'll go next just because it's relevant. So the defriending comment here. So in 98, I met Jamie, May of 1998. We were actually married in August. So I'm not indecisive when it comes to her, at least. So we've been married for a long time now. Anyway, but I had some friends that were, were super worldly and things at that time. They were very into pornography. They were very into, and I have a lot of sympathy and compassion for that because I had that in my past too, tons of it. But not just that, it was also just a lot of negativity. They would really tear me down a lot, and coming from the low, confidence that I had due to my past, it was just compounding that. Like I already had a confidence problem. I already have self-belief problems, a lot of wounds and drama, baggage from my past at the time. And here were my friends who I did enjoy hanging out with, but they were, this toxic, there was a toxic element to that as well, where they would tear me down a lot. And so when I met Jamie in 98 in May, a couple months into that relationship, I was realizing I was sparing her from them. And then when we got married, I realized I'm really saving her from them. Like there's a reason, like something in me was like, why am I not, having her hang out with all of us, and why am I not hanging out with them now as well? And so I literally, and also I was getting into sales at the time, and I thought, great, I've got to, have all this confidence and be extroverted when I'm an introvert, really, and all this stuff. And my friends are not going to help that cause. My friends are going to make fun of my wife or tear her down or whatever. I can't have that either. So I literally called my friends and I broke up. I just called them, and I was nice, but I just said, the way that you guys talk to me is not good for me, and I enjoy hanging out with you guys, but I have to part ways here, because I'm going into sales and I need confidence. I can't have people that are dogging me all the time. I need better, and I don't want my wife exposed to that either, for whatever you might say about her. And so I broke up with my friends, and I called the ringleader of my friends, 15 years later, and I apologized for hurting him, because I knew I had probably hurt him. And he apologized to me for doing the damage, which caused me to break up with them, with that whole group. But I brought myself down from all those friends to like one or two friends that were super positive. And since that time, I've been really picky in friendship. So when the Bible talks in Proverbs 12:26 about being cautious in friendship, and when Jordan talks about having surrounding yourself with wise counsel and with leaders and people that can be positive influences, that's one of the few choices you have total control over, is your friends. And so I just want to encourage you guys that I know, we recorded on the podcast a few minutes ago before this meeting, and it was painful. I mean, I think Jordan could tell I was in pain talking about it. I did not want, I'm a very empathetic person. It was impossible for me to break up with a friend like that. And I did it. So I don't recommend doing it lightly, but because you could always just back off gently. You don't have to go full divorce. With certain friend groups, you might be able to just step back and gradually replace them and just kind of keep in touch a little bit, depending on your situation. But yeah, I really concur with this idea, though, Jordan, of surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like, and that people that can build you up, and that you can build them up.
And so we want to open the floor up to you guys and allow you guys to confirm that thought or really speak into. I know, Dustin, you've shared many times about you stepping out and really letting this group speak to you the way I think God wanted to speak to you for a while. And so if you want to go down that avenue. You're muted.
Sure.
If you do.
Sure. Actually, it started, my wife was kind of the spiritual spearhead, so to speak, for our family. And she signed me up for a Gateway small group 5 years ago. And I didn't want to get involved. I didn't, I'm like most men, I don't like sharing my feelings. I'm not the most open person about my feelings unless you know me, and then I'll open up pretty quickly. I didn't want to do that. And so through that process, God did some healing. I also had some past bad relationships, had somebody who I thought was a best friend who probably helped cause my first divorce, who was not a good person that I hung around for a number of years, got around drugs and a lot of really bad people. And the moment I met with my wife, that all went away. And so I really started looking at who I was hanging around with, who I wanted to be like, and who I looked up to. I started to seek out mentors. I started seeking out people who were positive, driven individuals who were going in the same direction as me. And I thought it was really important to have a really positive community to where we can just build each other up and bounce ideas and just sharpen each other. And once that really happened, I think that I myself, grew a lot professionally, spiritually, as a father. I mean, there's so many different things that have happened through that process. And I just think you have to be open, first of all, to even possibly getting hurt again, but knowing that you're just going to be that one step closer to building a real relationship. I'm very cautious with friends. I'm not cautious in meeting people, but I am very cautious about who I get close to. I guard my heart. I guard my family, my wife. I guard them very closely. But if you're close to me, Jordan, you know, you see me all the time, you know. And so, you know, I welcome people with open arms once you get close to me, and I think that that's a big priority to build that community, build each other up. Don't be afraid to get close to people, but also be very cautious in doing so. But I'm a firm believer of that whole iron sharpens iron. You just surround yourself with some sharp people, and before you know it, you're going to be a needle. So
that one comes up a lot in this group. It's like one of our themes or something. It's such a, we almost, it's funny you brought that up because we almost listed that out tonight, actually. Yeah. It's fun. That's so funny. Well, good for you. You did it. I mean, I think your story resonates, you know, at least with me. I mean, it's a little different version of my story. So, I mean, thank you for sharing that. That's, seems like you've made some, you know, really, you know, first of all, you've had the humility to, you know, to listen to your wife's thoughts, and you've shown her the love of listening, you know, and then because of that, you know, you made some different friend choices, and you just proactively made some different friend choices on your own. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
thank you.
We do want to share spiritual investment, but do we have one more person who wants to share about friendship investments or your thoughts on that and your history with that? Anybody?
Let's go to spiritual.
Okay. So spiritual investment, we don't have a structured time. This is more like, what are you guys doing right now for your spiritual life during this pandemic? What maybe it's a step you've taken, or it's something that God's speaking to you about doing. You know, obviously God is working hand in hand with Terry in business right now. So his spiritual and his business are very fluidly working back and forth together. But you know, I'll tell you one thing I'm doing. You know, obviously I started taking on the Jordan, you know, shared thing every day, you know, the shared Bible study. I also started the Bible in a year. And although I've probably read the Bible through in different ways, I haven't followed a program before. And so YouVersion has that. I just click it, you know, it just shows me, it serves me up every day what to do. So that's been really nice. Today's passage really spoke to me about my job journey and everything. It was about how Abraham sent his servant to go find Isaac a wife, and how the servant really didn't know where he was going to, and he led him to the exact house, into the exact girl that was for Isaac. You know what I mean? The exact opportunity, just blindly was led. And the Lord just spoke to me that, you know, I can trust him in that way. Right. So that's what I got from my daily, just, you know, Bible in a year, you know? So that's one thing that I'm doing. So I'm sharing first just because I am sharing first. But what else are you guys doing during COVID or during the season of your life spiritually, or maybe you haven't done it yet, but something is being stirred?
Well, I wanted to share a little bit. I really believe in the Sabbath. I believe in Shabbat. Jordan's been accompanying me. We've been sharing that Friday night Shabbat time. And I tell you what, getting together and sharing in what the Lord's done every single week, and just celebrating what he's done for you has made me very grateful. And just taking that time to reflect every single week, not just, you know, once a month or, you know, maybe New Year's, but taking the time every week to slow yourself down and just reflect on how good God really is, and to be able to share that with people. That's just been such a blessing for me and my family.
Very cool. Thank you.
I would piggyback that. Shabbat has been a tremendous blessing at the same time, it's one of the hardest times to lay the work down for that 24-hour time frame. It never fails. Every single Friday, there's always something that is calling out, you know, and Dustin probably knows, because I think I say it at least once every other week, that there's something that I should do, or there's something that that work, and every time I just have to leave it there. And you know what? It's funny. Saturday, it's still there. You know, and that feeling, you know, doesn't go away. But it's so nice to Shabbat. You know, so if you guys don't know, that's what that Shabbat means. Stop, and then Sabbath means rest. You can't rest until you stop. And so that's what, whenever, you know, Dustin and his family, and then you know, whoever else that is coming at that time, it's just a time of stopping. You know, we're stopping whatever else, and we're just enjoying each other's company. We're enjoying God's presence. You know, Dustin and his family do a great job leading, and there's been so many just wonderful conversations and growth that's happened because of that. So I would concur.
That's neat. And I know Dennis earlier was mentioning just fasting, you know, the mini fast, you know, fasting things that can become an idol, or just you want to break them, or you just need whatever, like the LinkedIn for me, you know, that's a great idea that he gave to me tonight, of just saying, hey, you know, who's your provider? You know, are you the one that's going to find yourself a job you know, you have a role for sure, but I mean, or do you trust God, you know? And so fasting, that was a really cool idea that Dennis gave to me, of just saying, hey, maybe check it twice a day, check your recruiting email and check your LinkedIn maybe twice a day, and just trust God in between instead of obsessing over it. So that was really a blessing for me. Very similar to a Shabbat though, but it's like a little mini one in the day. What about Terry, Dennis, Tade? Anybody else on spiritual? What's going on spiritually right now? What's God stirring you on, or maybe you're already doing it, or you're starting to get stirred up about something spiritually? Paul.
So me and my wife are doing something together we hadn't done ever. So we're reading the Bible together every single day, and we haven't failed any day during the whole year. We started last year with the kids, and we picked a verse that they have to memorize for. I think it's for every 4 weeks, and I mean the church had a very good plan for the kids, so we kind of were following that. But since the COVID, we have to make something by our end ourselves. But yeah, so in that part, we have I feel like we're growing, and the thing is that we always remember each other, so it's something that we don't forget, and I think it has brought us even closer, because in a marriage is kind of a triangle where God is at the top, and the closer you get to God, if you see this, you know, the closer you get to God, and the closer, you know, you two get together as well. So it's so I think that's something that I've been recently living myself.
That's good. Thank you.
That's a great analogy, Paul. I hadn't heard that, but it's definitely.
Yeah, it's true.
Tade, Terry, what are you guys doing to invest in yourself spiritually at the moment?
To invest spiritually, I guess thanks for always inviting me for the plan. That's definitely something that gets me going every morning, usually most morning. And also I do share this different Bible plan with my fiance and some other friends. I just try to make sure that I stay in the Bible. Yeah, I guess that's what I want to say. But forgive me, I think I may want to take us a little bit back into the friendship again. Sorry if I'm taking everybody back. But I guess I'm just stuck on that word defending. And I want to kind of mesh business and friendship right now. There was some years back, I have a friend that we went into business together. We've been friends like years before then, and we were very good friends, like really good friends. And then he was a third partner in the business that we're doing. But at the time, it felt like it wasn't pulling his weight, and we had to make a decision. Like we had to let him go, and I had to be able to tell him about that. Then I felt like since that time, yeah, we kind of did it amicably, but since it's been about 4 years now, we still stay in touch. But however, I felt like the friendship it's no longer as close as before. So I guess I just want to put it forward, like, what do you think usually is the best way to go about that when you find yourself in that situation?
That's tough. So when you have a friend that's not pulling their weight in a business situation, and you have to separate from them, and it affects the friendship, what do you do? I think that's a unique enough situation. I doubt everybody on the call has had that. I will say I did have to let go a friend of mine. It was out of my control, and it did affect the friendship for a while, because they were let go. I mean, I put their family at risk for a while, even though I didn't choose to. I was forced to by my leadership. It definitely did affect them. I mean, I think what I did to try to make that better was I stayed in touch with them, and I showed them compassion, and I prayed for them until they got a job. And, so they were not dramatically economically impacted by being out of work. And I also fought to give them as much severance as possible. They got way more than I just got. They got I think 10 weeks. I got 4 weeks. So, I did everything I could for them, and I was just honest that it was out of my control, and I stayed in touch with them, and I encouraged with them, and I prayed with them and for them. It's not quite your situation though, but I can tell you, I know it's hard.
Excellent. Yeah. Thanks. I guess I should have still tried to keep in touch as much as more than I did anyway. Yeah, it's too close. Thanks.
Your phone's breaking up a little bit there.
Yep. Can I add a comment to that? A lot of times, these circumstances do open the door for the best option for everybody. And so I would tell you that I'm not sure if you have been, or if you feel like, I've been carrying this person. If we carry somebody too long, then the breakthrough that God's trying to do in their life, we're inhibiting that. And so I know that we've mentioned it before on this podcast that, a lot of times God wants us desperate for him at all times. And sometimes he uses circumstances if we don't choose to do that willingly. And so just like Howie was talking about earlier with his friends, they didn't particularly like what he did in the beginning, but over time they realized that he was the mature one. He made a tough decision and it opened that door, but it was through him being a conduit of what God's trying to do. So I would just, tell God, hey, I know that you want to work in this. Give me the words to do it and the heart to do it in a way that is going to benefit what you want to do. So just like we were talking about earlier, don't scorch earth it. Don't get frustrated, even if you are, losing money or losing sleep or whatever. It's an opportunity for God to cultivate you and that individual at the same time.
Yep. Amen.
So.
Anybody else want to share what they're doing right now during the season, or what they're maybe got something is stirring? We'll let one more person share and then we'll pray. I think Terry had to hop, so
yeah.
I don't know that he'll be sharing.
Well, I wanted to share real quick what I've decided to do, and kind of spoke to my wife about this situation. That even if I don't get a job that I was really looking forward to, I'm going to change my perspective on what I'm actually doing. So it's not that I'm just taking phone calls, right? It's that person has been sent to me because God wants them to speak with me, and I'm the best person for that job. Okay, so if I change my mindset, it's no longer a job that I work for a company. I'm doing God's work, and that puts it at a different perspective. I'm also going to try to do other things that maybe this job that I do doesn't necessarily use all my skills, right? Jordan knows I love to research things out the door. You give me a subject, I will, like this whole fishing thing, like I'm just out there right now. But choose to do things that I enjoy, that use my skills. And then, my job doesn't necessarily have to be perfect, but I think through that process, I can kind of build, whether it be a lifestyle or like a community, but build something that does use all my skills, right? And so that's what I'm challenging myself right now to do is, seek out those different avenues, those different maybe hobbies or different ventures that I can pour myself into, that I can, possibly grow into something bigger, down the road. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Awesome.
Very cool.
See my little reaction thing?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, Paul was doing it too.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
He was like,
I just saw that. Well, guys, let's pray. I don't know that we have to